Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Quick question for you. Did you know that over 50% of entrepreneurs experience burnout in their careers? You probably didn't. That was a recent study from the University of California that I read, and I'm not surprised. So today, I'm going to share with you how to avoid burnout, right? I'm going to share with you some burnout strategies, some expert advice from a freight broker who went through burnout himself, right? So I'm going to share with you my personal story of how I went through burnout. And then I'm going to share you some tips and strategies on how to avoid it. And if you do end up in burnout, how to get yourself out of it, how to turn it around. Okay. So that's what we're going to cover today. Thank you so much for being here. Again, I do these weekly lives every Monday at noon, but today's Tuesday because I had surgery. You can see my club here and my fancy green dressing where I had some minor hand surgery. That's a long story for another day, but ultimately, everything went well. Everything's fine. I'm back. Thank you for all the kind words and the messages. So today we're going to do the training, right? We're going to talk about burnout. We're going to talk about how to avoid burnout. Then we're going to do maybe we'll have time for a giveaway, a Freightpreneur t-shirt. Okay. That's always popular. And we may or may not have time for Q&A. I'm going to see how time allots here and how things are going. Reason being, I have to be down. I have an appointment this afternoon and I've got about an hour and a half to drive to get there, about an hour and 15 minutes to get there. So I may or may not be able to do Q&A today. Okay. I'm going to kind of play it by ear, but we are going to do the training. Thank you for being here. Again, it's Tuesday. We normally do these on Mondays, but I had surgery yesterday. So that's where we're at. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know the city and state you're logging in from. We'll do some shout outs and then we'll jump right into the training. Okay. So we got Cynthia Moore from Maryland. Welcome, Cynthia. Ozan from Nebraska, even though he didn't put it in there. I know where he's from because he's here all the time. Mark Townsend from Eagle Point, Oregon. Blakely Friend from Phoenix, Arizona. Torrance Turner from LA. Zoran from Macedonia. Awesome. Deborah, yes, thank you so much. The surgery did go well. Thank you. Lance Seeley, welcome, welcome. Deborah, welcome. Next links from Valley Stream, New York. Devin from Markham, Illinois. Atif from Dallas. Maria McCarthy from Gillette, Wisconsin. Lance Seeley from Amarillo, Texas. Michael McCullough from Zephyrs, Florida. Awesome. Brent from Long Island, New York. Jackie from Texas. We got people from all over the place, as you can see. Thank you so much for being here, whether you're on YouTube or whether you're on Facebook or whether you're on LinkedIn, wherever you're watching this, thank you so much. And if you're catching this on replay, hit me up in the comments with hashtag replay. I'd love to hear from you. Okay. I know we don't get time to chat a lot because you aren't able to consume this live, but I do appreciate you. So hit me up with hashtag replay if you are my replay folks. I'd love to hear from you. And you can always ask questions in the comments and I will typically come back in within the week afterwards and try to reply and answer some of those questions in the thread. Okay. So again, thank you so much for being here. We got a lot of notes to go over. Okay. These are my notes for today's training. And today is all about burnout, right? I shared with you that stat. I don't know if you realize it, but 50% of entrepreneurs experience burnout in their career. That includes freight brokers, freight agents, truck drivers, right? Everybody and anybody in between. I would tell you, statistically speaking, I've never done the study, and I don't know if anybody ever has done the study, but I would tell you that probably freight brokers and freight agents actually experience a higher level of burnout than 50%. Okay. So we'll talk about a little bit of why and why I feel that way, probably mainly related back to my own personal story, especially in startup phase. So let me grab a quick drink and then we're going to get the ball rolling here. I don't want to be coughing during the training here. So again, thank you for joining everybody. If I wasn't able to give you a shout out this week, I'll try next week. I want to get into the training because possibly on the back end, we can do Q&A. If not, I'll have to come back into the comments later on and try to answer your questions. Okay. All right. So today we're going to talk about how to avoid burnout, right? The fact is, a recent study from University of California shows that 50% of entrepreneurs will experience burnout. Now, that's a pretty crazy number when you think about it. 1 out of 2 people that are entrepreneurs will experience burnout. And I'm not surprised. And the reason why is because I have personally experienced burnout multiple times in my career. Now, I've been an entrepreneur for over 27 years. So, I've had a lot of different businesses and, I've had a lot of ups and downs, but I'm going to tell you my personal story. So here's how it's going to work. First, I'm going to tell you my story of burnout as a freight broker and how it impacted me. And then I'm going to tell you how I turned it around and how you can, number one, avoid it. And, or if you find yourself in burnout, you can dig your way out. All right. So that's what we're going to cover today. First, let's start with a quick story. Started my freight brokerage in 2003. I had no experience, but I was willing to work hard, right? I was willing to hustle. So in those days, I was working 12 to 14-hour days pretty much every day, right? Minus probably Sunday. And even then on Sunday, I was thinking about the business, right? So it was a 24-hour obsession for me, right? I was obsessed with making this business work. I was obsessed with learning this business and quickly ramping it up. And so I was working long days and nights, and, I'd wake up in the morning, I'd go to work, I'd come home, I'd get maybe a few hours sleep, and then I'd wake up and I'd do it all over again. And that first year of business, it really took a toll on me. It took a huge toll on me. The fact is, I gained over 20 pounds of weight, right? I blew up. I wasn't taking care of myself, so I gained a lot of weight. Number two, I wasn't sleeping well. On a good night, I might have been getting 4 or 5 good hours of sleep, which just isn't sustainable. Number three, I had low energy, right? I had low energy, probably because of my sleep and my dietary habits and a lot of things I had going on, stress related. And I was irritable, right? I was irritable. I became kind of miserable, even though I was really living my dream of having and growing a successful business. I became very irritable, and I noticed I would snap on people, and I just had I was irritable. Let's just put it that way, right? I think my wife would agree. And you got to understand, we were newlyweds at the time. I got married 6 days before I started my freight brokerage. So a lot of stress going on there. And that first year, was one of the times in my career that I can definitely tell you that I experienced burnout. And I realized that it was not sustainable. And so I'm going to share with you 6 things that I did. 6 things, my funny green cast here, 6 things that I did to turn it around. And maybe you can leverage some of these to help you if and when you experience this. Because remember, 1 out of 2 entrepreneurs are going to experience this. So don't be surprised if you, as a freight broker or freight agent, this doesn't apply to you. So lean in really quick. Number 1, prioritize and delegate when possible. Now, let me explain to you what I mean. Most new entrepreneurs walk into their office every day and they put together this big, long to-do list of 15 or 20 or 30 different things they got to get done that day. And that becomes very overwhelming because day after day, you will go home, and in most cases, most of the things on the list aren't going to get done. So it starts stacking on top of each other. And so what I realized is that not everything on that list was of equal value, right? It kind of goes back to the Pareto principle. So what I started to do was prioritize the things that had the highest impact. So I started focusing on 3 to 5 tasks per day that are really important on that list. And that's what I would focus on. And the rest either was delegated or just wasn't going to get done, because I wanted to focus on those core things, the most important activities that I needed to get done. So number 1, prioritize and delegate. Don't come in every day and try to slog through a list of 20 or 30 to-do things on your to-do list. It will burn you out. I promise you. Okay. That's number 1. Number 2, as a big part of being a freight broker or freight agent startup, sales and prospecting and outreach to prospects and customer outreach is going to be a huge part of what you need to do in order to start generating positive cash flow. So here's the reality. This is what I learned. Quality over quantity. Now, it's really kind of a hybrid. Both are important, but here's what I discovered. I think it's more valuable and more sustainable and more powerful to do 50, 60, 80 high quality calls or outreaches per day consistently than it is to try to slog through 150 or 200 or 250 low quality outreaches per day. So what you have to understand is that high volume sales outreach, especially when you're talking about phone sales, which is a lot of what brokers do, can definitely burn you out. Can you do it one day? Can you do it one week? Can you do it 1 month? Sure. But after a period of time, it really starts to burn you out because the fact is, sales has a lot of negativity involved in it, right? You're hearing no more than you're hearing yes. So the reality, what I realized is that quality over quantity. I'd rather do 50 quality outreaches per day than 200 low quality outreaches. Again, that prospecting, if it's not sustainable, will burn you out, right? So that's number two. Number three, invest in a small team to share the responsibility. So what do I mean by that? Most brokers, when they first start, they're solo, just like I was. I was the first employee of my brokerage, and then eventually I started hiring a few people here and there. And the key here is to share the responsibility. Sorry about that. So number one, when you hire them, you got to train them, and then you have to delegate. You have to share that responsibility. So some of the things that I did were after hours dispatch, right? I shared that responsibility with my team. Weekend dispatch, I shared that responsibility with my team. Things that were not key or critically important for me to do that were on my to-do list, I delegated to my team. And I'm not talking about hiring 5 or 10 people. I'm talking about having 1 or 2 people in your corner to help you grow your business. Now, you may not be able to do that day one. You may not be able to do that week one. You may not be able to do that in your first couple months. But the fact is, once you start generating some positive cash flow, one of the most important things you can do is to create a team, to create some redundancy, to share the responsibility, to try to create some sort of balance, right? You hear a lot about work-life balance, right? I'm going to talk about that a little bit more at the end here. So yeah, investing in a small team to share that responsibility, bring them on board, train them, and then delegate that responsibility, okay? So that's number 3. Number 4, you have to learn to accept that you are going to make mistakes and you are going to have some failures. You're going to make some mistakes and you are going to fail. Maybe the business won't fail, but you're going to have small failures, small mistakes, and big obstacles along the way. That's just part of the journey. You have to accept that that is the norm. No one's out to get you. It's not why me. The fact is, that's how business works. So you're going to have a bunch of obstacles. You're going to make some mistakes. And the more you know that up front, it'll create less stress on the back end, because setting that expectation in your mind that that's what's going to happen will take the sting out of it. The reality is it'll take the sting out of that. And so that's one of the things that I think is really important, is understanding and accepting, getting your mindset around the fact that you're going to make mistakes. You're going to have some failures along the way. But long term, if you create a sustainable system, something that where burnout doesn't drive you out of the business or cause you to make huge mistakes that force you to lose your business, you can succeed over time, okay? It's a marathon, not a sprint, okay? So that's number 4. Number 5, you need to learn to recognize warning signs of burnout. Now, I described to you some of the things that happened to me during burnout. Number 1, I gained a bunch of weight. Number 2, I had low energy. Number 3, I was irritable, right? So a lot of those things, right, were the signs that my body was telling me that I was stressed, burned out, overworked, and that long term it wasn't going to be sustainable. And so the reality is you have to recognize those signs. Now, the signs might be slightly different with you, but the reality is those are very common. Those are very common. Gaining weight, irritability, not getting a lot of sleep, low energy, right? Those sorts of things you have to recognize. And if you don't recognize them, maybe the people around you will, your spouse, your friends, your business partners, your team, right? So the reality is you got to recognize those signals, and then you have to take action. That's part of the reason why I'm doing this training today, is to give you some tools to apply that will allow you to navigate that part of the business, that part of being a freight broker. Okay. And then number 6, you got to lean in on this one. Okay. Now, you have to manage your energy more efficiently. Now, what do I mean by managing your energy more efficiently? Well, I'm not a health coach. I'm not a personal trainer. I'm not some dietitian. Okay. I like cheesecake and chocolate and pizza and wings just as much as the next person. Okay. But the reality is, what you have to understand, there are 3 very key components to managing your energy, right? So that you have sustainability within your life and business. Number 1 is working out. No, it doesn't mean you don't have to go to the gym and pump weights, right? You don't need to do that. Working out can be walking, it can be treadmill, it can be a hobby sport, whatever the case may be, but you need to get some sort of physical activity that will raise your energy level, believe it or not. Secondly, you need to eat better, right? I'm not saying that you can't have pizza. I'm not saying you got to go on some starvation diet. I'm not saying you got to do paleo or ketosis or whatever these fads are. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you got to try to eat a little healthier. Try to avoid fast foods as much as you can, right? Try not to eat late at night. Try to have a little bit of a balance, right? So you don't need to go overboard, but eat a more balanced diet. Okay, that's number 2. And number 3, one of the ones that is really, really I've noticed in my career and even with friends and family around me, is the importance of sleep. You've got to get quality sleep. 4 or 5 hours a night will work for maybe a few days, maybe even a few weeks. But the reality is that long term, your brain and body don't have the time to recover. So you need to I would tell you, you need to get at least 6, 7, but ideally 8 hours of sleep per day, right? On average. So you've got to sleep. That means going to bed a little bit earlier. That means giving yourself time to recover, because sleep is one of those times where our bodies are actually recovering. That's what sleep is for. Your brain and your body are recovering from the previous day and weeks and months of activities, right? So those are the 6 tips, right? Those are the 6 tips I wanted to share with you. What I want you to understand, and I want you to consider, hold tight here, because this is really important. You hear a lot about work-life balance, right? And here's the reality as I see it, my personal opinion, okay? I do not believe that there is such a thing as perfect work-life balance. I just don't think it exists. If you're an entrepreneur, especially if you're a startup entrepreneur. I've tried, I've failed, I've tried, I've failed. I've seen others, I've talked to others, I've had coaching. I think that there is no such thing as a perfect work-life balance. But here's what I do think. I think there is a way to be more balanced. Okay? As a startup, you need to be obsessed with your business. You need to be obsessed with learning. You know what happened during that first year of my business is I was able to compress time because I worked 12 or 14 hours a day. I didn't have any experience in the freight or logistics industry before I got started. So I was able to fold time and make things progress very quickly. That's why we're able to do over $1 million our first year, and 3 million and 6 million and 12 million. And, by the time I sold that business, we had done over $200 million as a freight brokerage. Okay. So what I'm telling you is perfection is unattainable, but you can use some of these tips. You can use some of these strategies. use some of these concepts to attain better work-life balance. You can't just work 14 hours a day and ignore your health. You can't just work 14 hours a day and ignore your relationships and your family. You can't just work 14 hours a day and ignore everything else. That's what I tried to do, and I realized it was not sustainable. So I promise you it won't be sustainable for you. I put this training together because I wanted you to understand and have these tools in advance, okay? So I want to thank you guys for joining me. If you are curious about becoming a freight broker or a freight agent, and you're looking for some guidance, you're looking for some help, check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. We've trained over 10,000 students, been in business well over a decade. I've personally done over $200 million as a freight broker, and we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee if for any reason you're not happy with the training. Truly appreciate you guys being here. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you next week on another Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. All right, hold tight for those of you that are still sitting here, okay? Let me check the time. Okay. I don't have a lot of time. I thought this was good. I thought the training was going to be a little bit shorter, but I don't have a ton of time. So here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to do. All right. Let's do a quick giveaway. Let's do a quick giveaway. We'll do a t-shirt giveaway. Okay. We'll do a Freightpreneur t-shirt. Someone who solves problems you don't know you have in ways you can't understand. But before we do that, hit me in the comments and let me know if you've ever experienced burnout, and then give me a rating on 1 to 10, the value of this training. Was this important? Do you think this is valuable? 1 to 10. 1 being low, Dennis, this was a waste of my time. I'll never come back. Or 10 meaning I'm so glad that you shared this with me because I think it'll be valuable to me now or maybe in the future. So share some feedback with me. Give me a kind of a rating 1 to 10. And then we're going to do a quick t-shirt giveaway. And then I'm going to share with you how you'll be able to get questions answered. Don't do anything with Q&A yet, but I will entertain some questions. I'm just not going to be able to do it live. Okay. So hold tight on that. All right. So don't type your questions in because I'm not going to answer your questions right now. Okay. All right. So we got some good feedback from Chris and Ozan and Enoch. All right, great. All right. Thank you so much for the feedback. Truly appreciate it. If you've ever been in burnout, whether it be in your freight brokerage, or maybe it was in a prior career, or maybe when you were in school, or whatever the case may be, burnout is real. Burnout is real. Burnout is legit. So I thought it was important. I've never talked about this topic before, and I thought it was important that I kind of shared some of my personal stories with you. Now, if you talk to 10 different people that have went through it and have navigated out of it, they might give you 10 different tips. But those are the things that I think helped me, and I hopefully will help you, okay? All right. Antoine says he's burned out now. All right, cool, good. All right, so here, we're going to do a quick t-shirt giveaway, Freightpreneur. You got to be in the United States. I don't ship these overseas. So if you want a chance to win the Freightpreneur t-shirt, I'm going to give 1 t-shirt away. What I want you to do is I want you to pull out your smartphone, whether it be Apple or Android or whatever you're using, and I want you to go to your favorite podcast app, whether that be Apple Podcast or Spotify or Google Podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts or music or radio, okay, streaming, go there and search for Freight Broker Bootcamp Audio Experience. The logo will come up, my bald, shiny head. What I want you to do is rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, okay? Rate, review, and subscribe. You got to do all 3. Rate, review, and subscribe. And then come back into the comments and let me know where you rate, reviewed, and subscribed it. Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever. But you got to let me know in the comments. In order to qualify for the giveaway, you got to say rate, reviewed, subscribed on Apple. Rate, reviewed, subscribed on Spotify. Whatever the case may be. But I need you to do that in the comments. And then I'm going to randomly pick 1 person to win the t-shirt, just like I always do. Okay, this is my MO. This is how I always do the giveaways. So we're going to take a minute or 2 to do that. And then hopefully I can pick this water up. My hand's a little sore, but we'll do a quick drink while you guys are doing that. All right, cool. Santi, awesome. All right. So again, this is the Freightpreneur t-shirt. Someone who solves problems you don't know you have in ways you can't understand. The very popular Freightpreneur t-shirt. By the way, Freightpreneur, I think I shared with you guys last week or the week before that Freightburger Bootcamp, the trademark was finally and officially done, right? That trademark from the United States, Patent and Trademark Office. I got the trademark for Freightburger Bootcamp. Took forever to get that thing done. And now Freightpreneur is in the process of being trademarked, as is the Freightburger Sales Accelerator. Those are both being trademarked as we speak. So that's exciting. I don't know why I shared that, but yeah, Freightpreneur. So yeah, the Freightpreneur t-shirt. If you win, you'll get the shirt it usually goes out within 1 to 2 weeks, regular mail. I have somebody who processes that. I actually don't ship them, thank God. I used to, but it just got to be a pain. But yeah, hit me up in the comments with rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, wherever you're doing that, and you will get a chance to win. And I'm going to randomly pick one person. Don't type your questions in, because if you type your questions in, I'm not going to answer them, because I need to be able to pick a winner, right? And they're all coming into my feed. So I need you to hold off on your questions until I tell you to put your questions in. Otherwise, they're not going to get answered. All right, so we're going to give about another minute on so all you got to do is go into your phone. If you're on Apple, if you got an iPhone, go to the Apple Podcast. Just search podcast as one of your apps. It's a purple icon. Click on it. Go into the search bar. There's a little search window. You can search Freight Broker Bootcamp. You'll see the logo. You'll see my head. And then just click on it and rate, review, and subscribe. Subscribe is also called follow. So they'll say follow, right? Which is basically subscribe. So rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Come back in. Let me know in the comments that you did rate, review, and subscribe, and you will qualify to possibly win the Freightpreneur t-shirt. All right. One more minute, and then we're going to wrap this up, okay? And then I'll explain to you what I'm going to do with the Q&A. What time is it? 12:27. Oh my God, I got to go. I'm going to be late. I'm going to be late for my meeting. And I got an hour and 15-minute drive, and I got to change really quick. So, okay. Okay. All right, guys. So that's going to be it. I don't have time. I don't have a whole lot of time here. So I'm going to scroll through and see who rated and reviewed. So I've got, because everybody was typing questions in here, it's hardly. Yeah, I don't do YouTube podcast. These lives are the YouTube podcast, right? So I don't have my separate podcast on YouTube. No. So where are the people who subscribed here? Okay. All right. So I'm going to scroll through very quickly. Hold on. I got to get to the part where everybody's. Where are we at here? Sorry, guys. Give me 1 minute. The feed's a mess right now. Okay, here we go. I'm going to randomly scroll, and the winner is Brent Merkel. Rate, reviewed, and subscribed on Spotify. Congratulations, Brent. Here's all you got to do to get your t-shirt, your Freightpreneur t-shirt. Go to where are you at? Are you on YouTube? Yeah, I mean, I would say go to my Freight Broker Bootcamp Facebook page or my LinkedIn if we're not connected, one of the two, Facebook page for Freight Broker Bootcamp or my LinkedIn profile, and send me your full name, address, size, and that you won the podcast t-shirt giveaway. Okay. You got to let me know that, because I got to know what you won. Because sometimes I give away cash. Sometimes I give away different things. I give away books, give away shirts. So yeah, let me know that you won the podcast t-shirt giveaway. I need your full name, your full address, mailing address, and your size. This is unisex sizing, small, medium, large, extra large, double X, that sort of deal. So send that to me. Thank you, everybody, for playing along. Congratulations, Brent, for winning the t-shirt. Again, truly appreciate you guys all being here and playing along. The podcast has become very, very popular. And I think we get over 10,000 downloads a month to the podcast right now. So, things are doing really, really well. I'm happy. We're ranked in the top 100 for all entrepreneur podcasts. And that's all because of you guys, the rating and reviews, as well as the people that are tuning in. I do this. We put out 2 new episodes every single week, and it's absolutely free. Okay. So appreciate you all. All right. So now for questions, here's what I'm going to tell you to do. I'm not going to do live Q&A because I don't have the time. I'll be here for another half hour, 45 minutes, and I'm already going to be late. So here's what you do. If you have a question, what I want you to do is I want you to type the capital Q, and then I want you to type your question in the feed, okay? In the comments, the capital Q, and then your question. That'll help so that the questions stand out to me. And I will try to come back in the next several days and respond to you in the feed or through a private message, depending upon what platform you're on, okay? So capital letter Q, hit me up with a question, and I will come back in the next day, 1, 2, 3 days or so, and I will try to answer that question for you. If I don't have the answer, I'll try to point you in the right direction. And if for some reason I'm not able to get back to you with that question, come back to me next week. I do these lives virtually every week, unless I'm in the middle of a surgery or something, I'm really sick or something is really going on, or I'm traveling on business or away on vacation. By the way, I'm going to be going away in August for 2 weeks. Me and the family are going to Greece for 2 weeks. So I'll let you guys know what the schedule is there. But from, I think, the 2nd to the 15th, we're going to be gone, or 2nd to the 17th, we're going to be gone. So, but that's a long time away. So ultimately, appreciate you guys being here. Have an awesome day. Have an awesome week. Hit me up in the comments with your question, and I will do my best to get back to you. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure you rate, review, and subscribe on YouTube. Oh, by the way, just a quick teaser here. I started putting content out on YouTube, and it's content that's original to YouTube. So it's content that I am actually creating, or not on YouTube, on TikTok. I'm sorry. So I started creating content on TikTok. And you guys can check that out. Just search for Ask Dennis Brown, because it's under my personal brand, not the Freight Broker Bootcamp. So yeah, you guys can check that out on TikTok. Search for Ask Dennis Brown, and you'll see my bald, shiny head. It sticks out everywhere. Okay. Have an awesome week, and we'll see you next Monday for another Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. Thanks all.